Ooh, never heard that before.
Yeah,
Morning.
yeah. I call her the creepy recording lady voice.
Yeah,
Uh, so,
very poetic.
yeah. It's been a long time thinking about that. And we've been putting them. We also we're gonna keep Culturama going out throughout the year with monthly events and weekends, so we can do some, maybe not the full weekend, but 3 or 4 hours, working towards November every year. And we're going to be putting these recordings up as many as we can. Let me show you where we're doing that. Oh, I've got to go grab it first. It's a website we're calling Culturama Community, and it's a blogger. So this is the website. If you could follow us over here, that'd be great. I'm gonna grab the URL and drop it in here. And this will be recorded and put up probably by Monday. Okay, so please join that website, and otherwise we won't be able to reach you as the year goes on. Okay, but today we're here to this is kind of a dad or a creepy uncle moment for me, because
you are being recorded, John.
Scott was one of my favorite students, and he's become an extraordinarily good writer and teacher. And today we're going to do Wake Up to Creativity with Scott Creley.
Hey guys, thank you for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces and some people I don't know. And like I heard, some people are coming from far away. So that's fantastic. Thanks for being here. If you want to find me after the workshop, I have a website that's scottcreley.com. And I'm pretty active on Instagram under my just regular name. So today I wanted to introduce you to a way to generate some poetry. One of the challenges people face when they sit down to write is that they're immediately daunted by the challenge of coming up with new material. It's hard to mind your own life because all of a sudden you sit down and you feel the need to come up with some interesting anecdote or story. And of course, you aren't able to distract one on demand most of the time. But the fact is that almost everyone lives an equally interesting life that's full of material that you can write about. Usually it's just a matter of thinking of something and then exploring it in depth. But that's not easy on demand, because even when we know this, even when we know that our life is worth mining, we tend to get stuck on the same patterns, go back to the same places, and it's really hard to find and visit new territory within yourself. So I've created and sort of ripped off, but also added to an exercise that uses an interview process, a questionnaire from Marcel Proust, who used it at salons, dinner parties to get to know the people and to draw out interesting ideas, anecdotes, and character traits that they had. I found that, and other people have found, that it can be used to draw out things that are worth creating art about. It's what this list is it's basically a series of numbered questions that require a little bit of thought for you to answer, and they usually take you to strange ideas with some depth, things that you care about. And I use these questions along with a Google random number generator and a few prompts to get new poetry or get ideas I want to write about for stories. I recently have been working on a collection of flash fiction, and a lot of the stories in that have been based off of the answers to these questions. So what I do is I roll a question or a number of questions from the prompt using the random number generator, and then I answer them. And then I try to write a poem about them, either based on the prompt that I roll up, and you'll see the series of prompts I've created, or just using the answer to the question for some fresh inspiration. Having said all that, and before I introduce all the rules to an exercise like this, remember that exercises are really all about creating new work and getting you to new places. And they're not necessarily about following the rules. Rules are good if they make us work out different literary muscles, but they're bad if they restrict us or make us unable to write. So you do you once we start this. Go off wherever you want to go in your writing, and don't feel obligated to follow any of the prescriptive methods here. Prescriptive limitations, though, they can help you flex new muscles, which is why it's good for people to, and I was resistant to this for years, but it's good to study formal poetry because it makes you write in a certain way. It gets your brain thinking in different patterns, and exercises can help with that too. But, the second you get a good idea and want to run with it, just run with it. So what we'll do is we'll do a few rounds of randomly generating some exercises, which I'll go over in a second, and then we'll workshop with some volunteers from you guys to see what you've generated. And that can be fragments, just stanzas, even just lines if you want, just to see what kind of poetry you get out of it. And you will generate some kind of new work. And one of the benefits of coming to something like this is not only do you get to see a way to come up with new work, but you get to hear other poets help you build on that work. And sometimes people have very interesting ideas for you, and I'd really encourage you to share whatever you come up with. So having said that, and because I need to practice what I preach, I rolled up a poem out of this method last night. So it's a day old. Don't expect it to be the strongest. It's not bad, but it is a draft, something I would submit to a workshop. So I'm going to read that poem to you guys. One of the questions on the questionnaire, the one that I rolled, is what sort of death would you like to die? It's a lot of fairly deep questions, and so I wrote a poem about it called "The Death of Scott Noon Creley," which I got to explain my method of death first, I guess. Although the poem goes into it, I would like to die by way of walking down the street, having a happy moment, and out of nowhere, a small meteor breaks into the atmosphere and hits me into the back of the head before I know what's happening. And I'm just out like a light, right? But people see me on the news and they get to laugh at it. And it becomes a story that people find amusing. Not as outlandish as you would think. There was actually a woman in Texas that was watching TV and got hit by a meteor in the leg. She was fine. She just got a bruise, but it came straight through her ceiling and whacked her in the thigh. And they didn't even let her keep the meteor after that, which I feel like is a huge, absolute ripoff. You should get to keep the meteor that hits you. But anyway, having said all that, here is my poem about my preferred method of death. Minor poet and noted deviant, Scott Noon Creley was killed yesterday by a velocitized spherical fragment from the early universe. It traveled billions of dark miles to cleave through the atmosphere at the exact angle of a smirk, and changed Creley's skull, once as full of images and non sequiturs as the mind of a dreaming cat, into a mere hole-punched jack-o'-lantern, with smoke and seeds spouting from every hole. Witnesses said the meteorite came crashing from the blue sky, that the whip crack of the sonic boom broke windows for miles, and dissolved clouds like cheap cotton candy in a hot mouth, that the ping pong ball of metallic death shone like an oil slick, that the collision was like a gunshot blasting into infinite pudding, that it was the sound of half-cooked macaroni and cheese being flung against a dirty, half-painted basement wall. The local librarian, looking solemn, called it buckshot from a cruel god, but she ruined the moment by smirking into her hand. Creley, national dog celebrity, was walking through Sunset Boulevard on his weekly sojourn to mock tourists and buy gas station drugs. Witnesses described him as a decapitated scarecrow. Witnesses said he was mid-argument with a mixtape vendor and a bedraggled, unidentified member of the Paw Patrol who demanded $5 for a picture. His corpse will be left in the town square of Los Angeles as a memorial, as a warning, as a dubious art object. He's survived by his failings and successes. He's survived by his wife. He's survived by the photos of his body you took for your Instagram. He's survived by his desire that you laugh. Really, please, wipe that gore off your glasses and laugh. Let me get back into the camera. So what that did is it was a poem answering the Proust questionnaire, but also as I wrote it, I associationally started thinking about like the local news and what would be like a weird happy moment for me. And I do walk around Sunset on the Walk of Fame and make fun of tourists. That's my prerogative as a Los Angeles resident. So they're making fun of me too. So it's fine. We have an equal exchange of wants. And it's a poem that I never would have come up with without the list because it's silly, but it also enabled me to hypothetically do the poet's work where I take strange, unconnected concepts and make them very real and imagistic and try to place them in my body. So let me go ahead and drop the link to this exercise into the chat, and then we can I'll have a look at it. And I will also screen share it in just a second. So copying the link now. Bringing it back over. and sending it to everyone. So there's a link to the doc if you want to do it in your own. Oh, Shema. Hi. If you want to do it in your own window, but I think it might subordinate you when I share the screen. But I will go ahead and do that just to make sure everybody can see where we're at. But let's see. We also have our sign language interpreters too. So if you need to make use of the ASL interpreter, go ahead and pin their video, and I hope it will keep it up for you when I go into the full window. So please, in the chat, if you're making use of the interpreter and you can't see the interpreter, let me know, and I will zoom back out of the screen share. That way everybody's included. So all right, let's go ahead and move with that. So sharing my screen. Here. All right. Oh, we can still see the windows on the right. That's good. Okay. I'm used to sharing for video. So here is the prompt. It's sort of broken into sections. And here's the link to the Proust questionnaire, which you can pull up when we need to make use of it. You can ignore my sort of sensitive left-wing annotations to the questionnaire and answer the questions as they're on there. It's me being cute with Proust. There's also a random number generator that goes with this, and it does it via Google. And you actually can set the range of this random number generator. And I can't remember exactly how many questions are on the Proust questionnaire, but obviously you want to set the minimum as 1 and the maximum as the maximum that's on the list. I think it might be 35, but let's see. Chats. Oh, yeah, you got to mess with Proust. He doesn't care. The random number generator will be set to the range of the questions. And what I usually like to have us do just for 5 minutes is roll up one of these questions, answer it to yourself, and then, and this is the part that matters, write out a description of the imagery, the situation, or the concepts that emerge from that question, using mostly the body and 5 senses. So like I had my scene of my death, right? But then I started to think like, what's the meteor really look like? What's the angle it came in look like? What's it sound like when I get hit in the back of the head with this meteor, and somebody actually has to hear it. The gunshot hitting infinite pudding. It's a stupid image, but I'm fond of it. The jack-o'-lantern that gets a hole punched in it. All those things are things I came up with for the body. So similes, metaphors, things that use sight, taste, touch, smell are all really important to your writing and to the process. So I would encourage you guys to one, answer one of these questions and then come up with those things, and to just jot these down while avoiding exposition. You'll know in your head, like I knew the way that I wanted to die, but I never explained I'm hit in the back of the head of a meteor and everybody laughed. That's what the poem is, but I don't just come out and overtly just say it in exposition. I put it out as images. So I would encourage you to do that. So instead of writing something like it's hot, write the sun is a blast furnace shrieking down heat. Or the humidity is like a great tongue rolling over us, pressing us into the earth. I'm pretty sure that's stolen from somebody. If you recognize it, tell me. But I'm almost sure it's not mine. The sweat runs down my legs and pools in my shoe. We don't even have to say it's hot there. We just know from the context, and we're making it bodily. So we understand it's not just hot, it's hellish Louisiana in the summer, Florida kind of heat. Sorry if anybody's Skyping in from there, but it's winter. And so now your place is nicer than everybody else. So there you go, you win. Art's from the body ultimately, and the body links us to our ideas. So I'd encourage what you're writing here with me today. Try to really, get in your body, get into images. So let me pause for like 5 minutes. You roll up a question, you answer it, and then you try to just and right now we're not even doing an exercise or even trying to come up with a poem, just writing down a list of images and sensations and ideas that come from your question. You can sub this in later if you don't like one of the other questions you roll. You can use it however you want, but we'll just have sort of a scratch board for it. So any questions before I start? All right, fantastic. Let me pause my image, and when you see me come back, that'll be 5 minutes. So there we go. Let me give you guys your 5. And I'll stop sharing so we can get out of the window. Okay, perfect. Just another couple minutes. And remember, this is warm up. It's just getting your brain going. But I'd like to hear any real crazy stuff you came up with when we're done. Okay, let's go ahead and start trickling back here. Anybody come up? Anybody get just a interesting question? Say I could call on somebody. John, what'd you get?
I got when do you lie?
Oh, do you want to tell us when you lie?
Well, how would you trust anything I said?
That's true. I was just going to say, are you being honest? You beat me to my cute interrogation as to your answer. That's a good one. So did you just write out like situational images based on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was coming through all of the different times when I'm lying for good reason and for bad, and I just kind of started listing them actually.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Any good ones? Anything that kind of surprised you?
Well, my head went almost immediately to the classroom, right? Which is that sort of positivity you have to radiate constantly, which can be really painful. But like at that point, nobody really wants you to be like, yeah, my day kind of sucks. What's your, you're just maintaining that sort of keeping the class going, and that can be painful. It's painful in the stomach, I'm just naturally a bouncy person too. So like if I'm fighting a hangover or something, it makes you queasy or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That sounds like territory worth exploring to me. So nice, not bad. Anybody else get a? Yeah, Stephanie, go ahead.
Yeah, I got when do you lie also.
Oh, so nice.
That's creepy and great. And I just completely avoided it. My first line is "How dare you?" is the start. So
nice.
That feels like that's a good way to start something.
Oh yeah, sure. Get cute with these answers for sure. And when we do the exercises, actually, like feel free to contradict them, ignore them, roll a new question if you have to. I like to try to stick to them and challenge myself to do that. But it's whatever works for you. Kate Flannery, I think I saw your name. I think I saw your hand up, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
This is probably going to wind up sounding like typical woman body image stuff. But the question was, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? I would be small and limber. I would be able to sit and wrap both ankles around the back of my neck and smile and carry on a lighthearted, natural conversation. Watching.
That's fantastic. So you got immediate physical imagery and you went straight into the body. That's great. Like, it's not necessarily the kind of thing you might have thought about. I don't know, maybe think about it all the time. See, my answer would have been the opposite. I'd be like a big lumbering ogre of a man because right now I'm a compact 5'9" king myself in this current iteration. So I want to see how the other side lives, that's great. So let's try and expand one of these into a poem. So I'll share the screen again, actually. So again, if you need the ASL interpreter, you'll want to pin their video. So let me go ahead and share the screen. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, and I'm sharing. So down here, I have some prompts, and the prompts really they come in several different forms, and you could really add to this list if you decided to use this as a generation device. And actually, I do somewhat frequently. So I like haiku. So I've actually like added a haiku option down here at the bottom. But if you have a form that you particularly like, if you're a sonnet person or like you like villanelles, and you maybe want to have like a couple alternating topics, maybe you make a prompt out of that. It's really the kind of thing that can work for you if you let it. So each of these is different, and I suggest that you take the random number generator and make it 1 through 6, and you roll up one of these forms. And each of these prompts sort of asks you to do something differently. Like one of them is fairly simple, but also hard to do. Roll 2 questions, answer both of them, and then find a connection between them, and then write a poem about how those two things are connected. Connected images, connected logic. A lot of what poetry does as an art form is take 2 disconnected ideas and bring them together. It's sort of one of the arts of poetry. It gives that poetic, logical, intuitive leap between seemingly unrelated concepts, and that can make for a really good poem. One of the other options here, the next one, is roll 2 questions and lie about one of the answers. Hey, I guess we have a lying theme here today. Everything is permitted, nothing is forbidden. It's we're getting real creepy here. Roll 2 questions and lie about one of the answers. Why did you lie? Why did you tell the truth? Explain in the poem. So you might have more of a confessional, like personal style to a poem like that, or you might take it in a totally different direction, and so on and so forth. Each of these has a different question. If you find you don't like the prompt, re-roll it. It's fine. If you want to add a little bit of salt on this, you can take it into the next section too. And you can roll a little bit of prescriptive form here. And again, if you have a form that you like, roll it. I just have a haiku free verse of varying lengths, either shorter than 3 stanzas. I have to get it done within that time, or longer than 3 stanzas. I have to get at least 3 stanzas out of this idea. Or a prose poem. I have no line breaks. It just has to be in the poetic mode. I write a lot of prose poetry, so it's a method that I prefer. So again, I would encourage you to make your own copy of this and alter it if you want to. It's a fairly good tool for me. So down here, which is something I would do if we were in person and had more time, sometimes you can work cooperatively on something, prompts to write with somebody else. And it's often that you answer questions for each other and then sort of share your thoughts on each other's answers in various ways. And these are all, I'll leave these to have you look at them, but they come down to all sorts of different possible scenarios. So if you have a writer friend, I encourage you to have a look at those sometime in the future. But we'll focus on these 2 first sets. And so I'd like us to take about 15 minutes and to try out one of these, and maybe we can get a couple of these done during our workshop time here. We'll see. So start by rolling one of these prompts up and then answering the questions demanded by the prompt. If you don't like the prompt, roll a different prompt. That's fine. I would encourage you to do what we just did and to start by jotting down images and body sensations and immediate associations that you have with the question you answer, and then starting to go into a poem, examining how you came up with those ideas, how you feel about them, why those were the first things you thought of, any number of things. Contradict your answer like Stephanie did. Come up with immediate answers, like immediate images like Kate did. With John, like he related it to his immediate life experience and sort of had a list of times when he lied. So there's a lot of directions you can go. It's just about getting you into unusual territory. So let's start with about 15 minutes of writing. That should be time to at least get some fragments going. Remember, you're not obligated to finish a full poem by any means. Like even just getting an idea that you can later expand upon or utilize in something else is enough. It's all about just producing. So roll a prompt, go ahead and jot down some images, then get into the actual poem, and then we'll try to workshop some of them. I'd love to see what you guys came up with, and it's definitely a good use of our time here to share with each other and try to do some group editing. So 15 minutes. Let's see. That would be 9:50, which is we'll reconvene then. And I'll give you guys a warning when we're approaching. All right, everybody, I'll give you a chance to trickle back in. So hopefully that took you to some places you didn't expect, or it made you come up with some images you wouldn't otherwise come up with, or just got you thinking along the lines of some sort of a concept or idea you can pursue for a poem. So I know this is daunting, especially for some reason, even more so on Zoom, I've found. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because you feel like you're reading to the world. But remember, there's about the same as a 20-person workshop in here. So it's actually a rather intimate environment. But would anybody like to read a fragment of what they've come up with? Or if they really finish something, read that. Or Rooney, I see you. Anybody else want to go after Rooney? All right. Well, yeah, Travis, perfect. All right, and so we'll check in with everybody else after you two go. So, Rudy will read her work, and then Rudy, if you don't mind, maybe we could workshop it a little bit, talk about what's working really well in there, where we might like to see some expansions, or all that. I think it's valuable. But at the very least, I'm going to point out what's going really well in it. Yeah, go ahead and read it to us.
Okay, I have a complete-ish draft.
Oh, awesome.
Do you want me to say what the prompt was, or say it at the end?
That is up to you. It could be a mystery as to how you came up with it, or if you feel like it really adds to it, go ahead and tell us.
I'll tell you at the end.
Okay.
Soaking in my newly installed fiberglass bathtub, I luxuriate in the worlds of books turned into movies and reimagine the moment. Peter Benchley sends Carcharodon Carcharius crashing through the plumbing, row upon row of triangular teeth mowing the new tile work, that gore-flecked maw singing dirges to my soapy flailing. Stephen King insists that a great white is too improbable, so he replaces my executioner with a clown who beckons me from the drain. Dan Brown watches from the bathroom counter, suggesting that I could easily escape any impending wreckage by decoding the events with clues left to me by the Illuminati, if only I would put in the intellectual work. J.K. Rowling taps at the bathroom door, offering me adolescent incantations, magical beasts, and some damn thing called a Horcrux. But her proffers of help seem insincere. I can hear her tweeting more vitriol from her iPhone 11. Fed up and the bathwater turned uncomfortably cold, I release the drain, letting all the pulpy plots swirl down the new plumbing. I hope all the leaks are well patched, as I don't want all these plots pooled in the laundry room below, soaking my clean clothes.
That's awesome. I'm going to assume you are ending there because that's a good ending. So that's my screen clap. Yeah. So a few things that are really working about this, and I'm impressed that you have something so concrete. I'm definitely going to need to know what questions got you there. But you immediately in the body at the start of the poem, right? So you've grounded us, the reader, to be there with you, and you've got this setting in the bathtub, and then the bloody triangular maw is brilliant. That's fantastic. Really grim imagery to really get you there. And so physical too. And then, man, the way you work all of those sort of leisure reading books into the narrative, it is fantastic. Anybody else want to talk about anything that really works there for you? Yeah, the triangular teeth are awesome. They're in the chat complimenting you, Rooney. Yeah, that initial image is really great. I like the little dig you threw in there, J.K. Rowling. Impressive. You just work a little commentary in there, and then taking these sort of unconnected things and making them into something as physical as bathwater is really cool, because you also anchor us and end us on a very physical thing. You don't want it messing up your clean clothes. So there's a little disdain for the leisure reading, even though you clearly also love it. And that's strong. That really works. Any other stuff that I missed out on that's really working in that piece?
The gore-flecked maw really lands.
Yeah, man.
That lands really hard, and I can say, from a personal position that that kind of syntax really hits with me, just because of my, preferences for things like fantasy and things like that. But just that line kind of is a sledgehammer.
Yeah, totally. I teach a sci-fi class at Chapman, and I'd be super pleased to see that in there somewhere. It is great. Um, I don't know. Maybe you could show us an image of the It Clown, because when you talk about it in the pipes, like I'm I don't know, is it sticking halfway out of the bathwater? Like you see a couple little fingers coming out of the pipe. Like, what do we get? I had a real creepy vibe from it, and I feel like you were picturing a specific image in your mind when you came up with it, and like if you made it physical, it'd be even creepier. But that's very polished. And I mean, I already know you're a good writer, but very, very polished and very quick to come out with a poem like that. So good work. What prompts did you have?
So the prompts were, who are your favorite writers, and when and where are you happiest? So actually, all these type of like popular fiction writers, I think of as more, they're not my favorite. They're like more of a guilty pleasure. And they're books that I read, and then 2 days later, I have no idea what the book was about, but they're all made into movies. And my major prompt was roll 2 questions and lie about one of the answers. Why did you lie? Why did you tell the truth? Explain in a poem. So the lie was who my favorite writers are.
Nice.
And like one of my favorite places is like take a bath after I get home from the gym or something like that. So I was thinking, what if like the parts I can remember from these different books all converged in my bathroom?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's just such a weird premise, like randomly generating the stuff can kind of make us come up with that kind of thing. But yeah, that's fantastic. I'll go to bat for Stephen King any day, by the way. I think he's a legit important writer, but
I can't remember the details. Like I'll remember.
He's got a few plots that maybe recycle sometimes. I don't want to badmouth Stephen on a recording, but he does have some. He has some themes that maybe run a few times over his career. You're not wrong. But that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing it. It's good. Yeah, for sure. Travis, you one more screen clap. How did we as a society arrive at this, by the way? But like everybody did simultaneously, as sort of a zeitgeist moment. It works. It's just interesting. I like it. Travis,
it's all from Futurama. We don't want to clap our hands and kill thousands of spores. So
you're totally right. That was a Futurama thing. Yeah.
We'll do films for later. All right. So this is just a handful of lines, but this is what I got from it. No, where did you get that? All crags and clogged pores. Don't change a thing, or you'll risk your moneymaker. The fix is simple, truly. Just lower the volume. But easy doesn't mean short. Sharp scalpels ready to flens. Skin from cartilage and greenbacks from rawhide stand at the ready. Quieting down is enough, but the stage beckons, and those shrieks won't shriek themselves.
Huh. That's ominous, man. Well, first off, let me give you your due screen clap. I like that. There's something that really builds tension about having it seem like it's a spoken dialogue the entire time. Like it sounds like a conversation or like a monologue, I guess. And the Craigs and clogged pores, like solid. And then the moneymaker to confirm for us that we're talking about a page. The flincing, truly gross and vile. Congratulations. It's just some real Dexter stuff. I think it was the shrieks won't shriek themselves, which is just the most threatening but casual way to talk about doing something bad. I'm kind of torn. I don't know if I want to know sort of in the neighborhood of what this guy's referring to or not. It's very ominous, and I don't know if it'd be less ominous if I knew exactly what was going on there. Anybody else want to add anything? What am I missing? I poisoned the well pretty good there by just analyzing it a bunch up top. I wouldn't do it in a normal workshop, but this isn't like, a graded classroom environment. Yeah, the shrieking thing is solid. And I don't know if I think it's ominous enough on its own. What questions brought you there?
So the unpack of this is honestly, it's far more banal than the ominous nature may have come up with. But basically the prompt was roll a question describe the first bit of physical imagery the answer brought into your brain. So the question that I got was one of the gender-fixed versions of what is the thing you like most in a person.
You feel free to disregard. I'm sorry, say the last thing again. I legged out.
That's all good. I was just going to say that I'm 100% on board with your fix of that because you're totally right. Mm-hmm. But the first thing that jumped out to me was uniqueness. The first thing that I kind of look for in a person is in terms of physicality, is like what makes them unique, what makes them distinct. And for some reason, the first thing that came from that was the nose. So there's your crags and clogged pores,
Thanks.
because I just thought of someone who didn't have a nose they liked and that kind of thing, and that got me to thinking about plastic surgery, and also the idea that changing things about yourself can alter yourself in ways that you're not expecting, which tracked me into this notion that at some point Barbara Streisand had flirted with the opportunity of having plastic surgery to reduce the size of her nose, and she elected to not do that because she was concerned that anything that she did to change her nose would change her singing voice. So that kind of tracked onto this thing that I had read recently that was a kind of a long expose onto the problems with pop singing and just operatic singing and vocalization in general right now, which is the belters concept, where they belt out the lyrics as loud as they can. Because it was specifically focused on Adele, who's had numerous surgeries apparently at this point to fix her voice because she's had numerous wears on her vocal cords. And there's an opera singer in Italy who has a treatment that is literally just a therapeutic treatment of training singers to sing a little bit quieter, because singing a little bit quieter saves the vocal cords immensely, but a surgery gets you back on the road faster. So if you want the fans, you gotta have the tour dates. So that's kind of where all that spilled out of, from that idea of what makes someone unique. The first thing I thought of was the nose, and there's the unpack of all those lines.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. For a bunch of territory I would never tread. I feel like I just learned a lot, so that's great. I feel bad now that I went for the level of ominousness that I did, but it's now it all makes sense. I think maybe like a title that has something to do with pop singers or pop stars or something would like orient it and keep all the cool atmosphere that we've built up there. But that's fascinating. And that's a lot of different colliding ideas coming together too. I like that. Very interesting. I really still can't think of, you having said all that, I can't necessarily think of anything I would still want to add to it. Anybody else? Like, anybody have any suggestions now that we have more information on it? And it seems like people are still pretty happy with what you have there. Yeah, I would suggest like having something about like a pop star in the title, like something. Pop star surgery. I don't know, but that's really fascinating. And yeah, Terry, it is really interesting to see what people come up with and where their ideas go. As a man with a heroic nose myself, I enjoy the subject matter, so that's really cool. Let's see, how are we looking at time wise? Let's see, if we do another 15 minutes, it makes 10:20. I would like to give you guys time to try a second prompt. So I think I'll forego doing another person's workshopping and instead give you a chance, another like 15 minutes or so. Then we can take the last 10 minutes for questions or sharing or whatever you want. But I'd like to give you another 15 minutes to roll up another prompt. I mean, you can keep working on the first one if you want, but the second one will, again, net you some new material probably. But yeah, let's take another 15 minutes or so of writing and either continue to hammer out that first one or try out a second one, and let's see what you come up with. And then we'll discuss similarly for the last 10 minutes. So I will flick off my camera and we'll be back at 10:20. All right, let's go ahead and trickle back in while I calm down the side of my hair. Did what'd you guys come up with? Did anybody come up with anything really unusual or cool or impactful in any other way? Yeah, Jennifer, please.
I think I came up with more of a prose thing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and it was really unexpected. Should I read it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Either setup connects punchline, playful pun, or a tired your mama joke. Trigger puzzle brow, then wide eyes. A balloon expands in her belly, then is let go. Air rush roar, laugh that ricochets off walls down the hall to her sleeping mate. She laughs so hard she cries, catches her breath and repeats the joke. Oh ho, another balloon inflated, then let out. Laughter contagion until we're all laughing because this laughing is so funny and it's really good. And if it's really good humor, we'll get one more explosive laugh marathon before my mom turns red, jumps up and yells, oh shit, I peed my pants.
Fantastic. Oh, this. So I'm not killing mites. Yeah, the pacing of it, first off, is really good. Like, you got a rhythm and a build up to it. And then secondarily, like the physicality around the blue, like really sells it. You're doing the T.S. Eliot objective correlative thing where you have an object and you put the idea in the object, and that's what makes us able to understand it and grasp it. And there's also a tension to it, even though I thought you were leading to something more serious than the mother in the piece peeing her pants. So it's a nice misdirect that it goes that way. Especially with the way in which you read it, which good tone of voice on that, like good delivery. But that's a lot for 15 minutes. Like good show on that. Anybody want to add anything? Okay, yeah, I quite like it. Like what question? What led you there?
Well, I was having troubles with the questions, so I rewrote a couple times. So it's what is the quality you most like in a person? I think that's what I went with. What quality you most like in a person, and then what is your greatest extravagance?
Oh, what is your greatest extravagance? How did that fit into the that's interesting.
Well, we used to get my mom drunk, so she would find everything funny.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great, and it's the kind of thing that nobody else would come up with, and that, like, honestly, like one of the things I find interesting about this exercise is I can never tell how people got there or how they came at it. So it's interesting to see that these fairly basic building blocks become so unique so fast. Let's see, where are we on time? Just a few minutes left. Would anybody else like to share a fragment or a piece or anything else that they came up with? Let me scroll around the entire grid to make sure I'm not missing anyone.
Yeah. I guess I can share an idea. Sorry, hi, my camera's not on. My name's Allison.
Hi, Allison.
So thank you for hosting this, by the way. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
But I got I really love this. So I got roll 2 questions and then see how they're connected. And the 2 questions I got were, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change? And the second one was, what are your favorite names? So I was like, all right, that's kind of, the prompt is changing your name maybe, or something like that. And I was just messaging with one of my peers here, and I told her I got stuck because there's 2 ways that I could envision writing this. And what I started with was writing about someone that I actually know, whose name is interesting to me because this person's parents, they're trying to connect to their Latino background, but they're not really connected. And it's interesting because they've never shown this interest in it. And they gave their child the name what they thought was meaning for hope, but the translation was wrong. And it wasit meant waiting, like to wait for something. So yeah, I see some of the faces. That's how I felt too. And I wasn't sure how to go from there because I was like, is this about culture and identity, or is it just about, how a name I wasn't sure where to go with it. And then I thought about my other idea was I got stuck on maybe talking about people who have names that are maybe at this time, names that we don't want anymore. So what do you do with it? So like, I was thinking about people named Karen and Donald right now and how that must be feeling.
Yeah.
But it's just, I didn't know how to jump. And I think it was because, like you said, it's just, trying to start off there. And as I was writing, it's just, I feel like what I want, the reason I chimed in is like, I feel like I got stuck and I don't know how to just get unstuck from this situation. Like, how do I know which one to pull on? Because it's been so long, I think.
Well, so if I had to write this, I'd be like, so your name is Donald. Well, my name is blah, blah, blah. You think you have it tough? This, and that. Yeah, sure. You say you this, and that, but I da, 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 da. And like, maybe start from there and see what I got. Like, make a dialogue between these two sets of people that you're thinking of.
Love that.
At least your name doesn't mean waiting. My mom thought it meant hope. Like, blah, 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 blah. Are we talking Esperanza, by the way?
Yeah, it was supposed to be
okay. Yeah. No, yeah. So that's how I would work with that combo. So personally, just as a writer, like I'd probably like start with that and then see like hey, when I hear my name, I picture this and that. You can make it physical that way. Like or it could be from the Donald guy's perspective. Like I am not a big orange baby. I am not a bloviating. Blah 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 blah. You can make it physical. I won't alienate anyone with my obvious political leanings, but that's how I would go about it. So I'd be like, what do I imagine for this name? What do I imagine from this name? What have these guys talked? What does this person have to say for themselves? Like, how do I feel about that? Like, because it's all about putting your voice out there, right? And those are a number of things that are going to be totally unique to you. So usually I guess the questions I'm asking myself are, what am I imagining? Because I can always write something physical based on that. How do I feel about that? Is that feeling reflected in my body? Is there any, and then finally, like, what do I think of all this? Is there any philosophy that ties it together? Is there any statement that I think wraps all this up? And then sometimes out of those three sort of arenas comes some kind of poem.
It helps so much. Thank you. I really
thanks.
appreciate that. Like, I just, it's a good starting off point, but this one was just so good. I just felt like I didn't want to that, so thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you got something there. I think you have a bunch of things, like not liking your name is really something, and then having a story to your name is something else. Like, as somebody with the last name Noon, you've now got me thinking about all the corny jokes that I've dealt with since I was like 5 that I could write about, but they're not really that bad of jokes. They're benign, so I could go that route too. And it's all sort of like unique to all of us. So if you come up with something and you want to send it to me on my website. But for sure. Let's see. Well, it looks like we're at the end of our time. So if you want to hang out and talk, I'll hang out for a minute with everybody else. But thank you so much for joining me here today, guys. Appreciate you being here, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, good to see a lot of you again too. It's nice. And I hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of the seminars. I'm going to go to some this weekend too.
Thank you. That was fun.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Scott. This is great. We hold on a second.